So getting the menfolk involved, it's somewhat of a passion of mine to get more guys. How many guys are there in the room? Stand up there for all the boys. So there's 8 of us here out of about 130 or something like that. So, but guess what? That's a massive improvement on where we were a year ago. It does. For most of us, 2 of them. Yeah. So it is a passion of mine to get more guys involved, just so I'm not living my life in an estrogen bubble the whole time. So which I enjoy, and it's loads of fun, but it is also nice to have a few blokes around. So thanks for coming and making me feel like I'm not alone here. I guess this whole getting the menfolk involved thing is a bit of a double-edged sword. For us, we're passionate about getting more guys involved, so we talk about it, and a lot of people come to me now asking questions, how do I get my husband on board? In fact, it's probably one of the most asked questions that I get in mentoring every week. So we've been coaching people on how to do that in a nice and effective way, so the guys don't feel like they're getting sort of raked or dragged, kicking and screaming by the hair to a doTERRA event, which I know that has happened to most of us guys at one time or another. But it's also equally important that we do it in a way that meets them where they're at. You know, we talk about meeting people where they're at in our business, but we don't necessarily do it with our own partner. We just think, no, you meet me where I'm at, come on. So it's a case of maybe just getting that little bit more gentle. So this is what it's like when you're a guy in doTERRA typically, unless you're the first one in. And I call them our minions because we have these minions all over the house. So they're never just in one room, right? There's never just. And I thought, I'm going to get this organised. Actually, Kelly took a picture of it last night. We should have put it up. But she's got this whole aromatic dressing table that I created so that Vanessa could have all the oils there with bowls and wild oils and stuff. It's all there. So I thought, if I create this nice space where all the oils go, that's where they'll go. It's still in every room of the house, right? But this is what we noticed. The housework isn't getting done. Maybe, you know, shopping hasn't necessarily been done. It's, you know, Vanessa and I kind of take equal share in doing all those things. But guess what? Everyone comes in the house and goes, your place smells so good. So I guess that's the one benefit. So that when we have visitors, it feels good. The rest of the time I feel like, this is not quite how I pictured all this working out. What I want to introduce the concept of is a crucial conversation that you could have with your guys. And if you're struggling with getting photos of these, we're going to try and make all these slideshows available to you on the email list that went around. So if you're not on the email list, make sure you put your name on that and you get all these presentations. Okay? So talk about your significant other with things like your why, their goals, your activities, and have this conversation with them. Because one thing I'll tell you about blokes, and there's 7 other blokes in the room that can probably vouch for this, is we like it if we know what's going on. And we are not mind readers. Contrary to popular opinion. Right? We don't know. We don't just think, oh, well, that's clearly what you think. Most of the time we think, how do we get from that thought or that conversation to that? Because it's a big leap, right? So it's important that you have this conversation and try and share this, you know, honestly with your partner so that they can get a real sense of where you're at. Because one thing I also do know about most guys is happy wife, happy life is actually true. We really do want you to be happy by and large. Might get the odd guy who doesn't care, but most of us do. Most of us want you to be happy, right? So if you just tell us what it is that's going to help make that a reality, we're going to be much more on side with doing it here. So what does this mean in terms of your investment? So these are the kind of things that you could be chatting with to your partner about. So, and understanding that the investment that you're going to be making is both for you as a wellness advocate and also for your partner as a supporting person in your network, is that there's a different types of investments. So you've got emotional, financial and physical investments. This is the kind of stuff a guy wants to know about, I promise you. The emotional one, he might be able to skip that one. So But we really do want to know about things like what's it cost to buy this stuff, how much money we're going to spend running around all week doing classes, and obviously that's going to have an impact on our petrol bill for the week, right? Travelling, training, personal development. How often are you not going to be here? Because that usually has an impact, right? Because that means I've got to arrange to be around for the little ones and do stuff for the kids and organise these activities and go there and drop off here and pick off there. And maybe that's something that you guys have been doing a lot and that you guys haven't often been doing. And that's just sitting there just nodding their head. I was like, yeah, sounds like my life. So the time away from home, the training and nights and weekends, they're the kind of things that the guys want to know, right? And we're not talking today about trying to just get you guys on side working in the business with you. We're just talking about getting them on side so you can work the business unimpeded. You know, one of the things that I find a lot in all the mentoring, and it's mostly women that I'm doing this with, is that we can spend time as leaders building up our team members and making them feel buoyant and, you know, the cheerleader that Kelly was talking about, only to have them go home and often be cut off at the knees by their one who's supposed to love them the most. Has anyone found that? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone been a victim of that? I think we have at times. I see a few hands going quietly up there. It doesn't really want to make a public. So this kind of a crucial conversation to have them understanding what it's going to look like in terms of the time commitment, how many hours. And the next question, which I frame up a little differently to that when I ask it, is how long would you be prepared to support me in this while we're not making the money that's going to come? Because that is a reality at the start. Is that not true? Yeah. Right? So that's a crucial question. If you can ask the husband and he says, look, babe, if you want to give this 6 months, I'm behind you. If it's going to make you happy and you want to do it, if you're going to give it a year and this is what's going to make I'm happy, let's do it. But if you say nothing, I guarantee you by the 3-month part, you're going to start getting the whinges. Is that true? Yeah. So these crucial conversations are exactly that. They're crucial. This is what they become otherwise, right? So that's me. And the interesting thing is that I didn't graduate far from being Vanessa's assistant at all the retreats and stuff because I was a chief dishwasher at all the studio retreats and that kind of stuff. So really I was trained up to become a doTERRA widower. So this is what it's like. So what we often don't do though, and you guys are very used to it, and oftentimes the guys are not used to it. You know, and it feels uncomfortable for them at the start. So asking them what it means in terms of their investment is also important. So you've communicated to them what your investment is going to be, but it's also worthwhile saying, so this is how it might impact things for you. This is what it might look like for you. Are you still with me? Are you still on board? Are you still going to support it? Because there's going to be those kinds of things there. So they're going to have to look after the children and the pets and do the vet runs or whatever it is, take the dogs for walks and taking over some of the household duties and the extracurricular activities at school. But there's no way I'm dressing up as, you know, okay, I'll do it. Pioneer it is, that's right. The person just says, yeah, but you might get someone to buy a diamond kit, so in that case I'll wear it. But these are the things that are going to come up for the guys. So, what does it mean to have partner involvement? It's going to be different things for all of you. One of the things I think is critical to not do is try and get them on board actively in the business, doing the activities that you're doing too quickly. Because it creates, it's power versus force, right? You're trying to force it, okay? When the business has a momentum of its own, the power of that will draw them anyway. They'll come along for the ride. Guess what? I did, okay? And gave up 2 other businesses that are now, you know, way in the background for me, thankfully. Someone here knows me well and is laughing about that. So their involvement might just be to support you emotionally, financially, and physically with doing some of those things. And is that not better than just having someone at home, your significant other, cutting you off at the knees? You when you're sort of building it up, and then they're questioning you all the time. Yeah, but I worked out that, you put in this many hours per week and this is how much money you made, so you're actually getting $2.53 per hour. That's slave labour. Quick, go get a real job. Anyone heard those things before? Yeah? I hear people tell me stories about that kind of a conversation pretty often. And my advice really is go back and have you explain this, okay? Because businesses don't start cash flow positive day one. And here's a business, this is not a job, okay? And I'm going to talk later this afternoon about how it is a business, and maybe you can take some of that back and share that with your partners. I think they'll get a little bit of a different perspective on it. But one of the things I'm happy to do, and I'm happy to do for anybody, is to meet with a guy. And I do these pretty regularly, don't I? But we have a coffee with someone who says, my husband needs to hear it from you. In fact, Pip's here, and we've got one organised for one of her family, one of her friends, right, to go and catch up. And do that, and sit down and explain guy to guy that these are really a business and you really can make money doing this. Because is that why you're here today? Are you here to learn how you could do better and how you can make money at doTERRA? Because I think that's what most people come to these events for, actually. We want to share, we want to do it effectively, but really the ultimate end of it is we want to do it successfully if we're going to do it, right? And there's nothing that silences the critics like success. In fact, Kelly put up a post, maybe it was a year ago now. I saw it and I still remember this, really, I loved it. And it said, you hate on my success like we don't all have the same 24 hours a day. You remember that? Yeah. All at the same time. The difference is how we spend it, how we invest it. Right? So this is the thing, you might get them, they might be an IT savvy kind of a guy, and they might do some of your editing of your blogs or get your paperwork ready or just do your books or whatever. They might help you by taking over some of the household stuff, but whatever they're ready for, as long as they're on board with you doing what you're doing, I think that's a good result. Yeah? Expectations, these are the kind of things, gauge their level of support and respect them for where they're at. Take it slow, provide opportunities for the partner to get comfortable with the product. Okay? One of the things and the challenges that I find with women trying to get their men on board with this is that you think that we are going to love the product for the same reasons that we do. And you present it to us the same way you would present it to a woman. Or to a class, right? And you're telling us all the things about it, but we don't, that's not our language. We don't get it when it comes to that. So we need a bridging product. We need a bridging event before we're going to get all crazy about using oils. Now, I have my little oil pack that goes out of the house with me everywhere I go now, but I was not like that in the beginning. Okay? So that's why we use these bridging, products like your Deep Blues and LLV and stuff like that, that we can get our head around. We can get our head around taking a vitamin or doing something like that, because we've been doing it for a long time. So try and do it that way. I've always said, and I keep maintaining this, and Vanessa keeps delivering, which is awesome, massages and delicious food are a good way to get guys involved with the oils. So I think that's what she kind of was very patient about getting me involved, and she was sort of, kept putting oils on me slowly but surely, but eventually I kind of realised that it actually feels good, not just the massage, it still feels good later. So must be doing something. Offer them opportunities to talk to other men by bringing them along to the gatherings, the sundowners, and I do men's classes, those kind of things. Create those opportunities for them to come. That way, it's not just you telling them that they should. They're turning up feeling like it's okay. There's other guys here doing this, and it could be something that I might be able to at least support you in, even if I don't want to get involved myself. So you don't have to be the dynamic duo. I think there's a lot of pressure. People look at something like what Vanessa and I do, or what Matt and Kelly do, and the couples that come together doing this as a business, and they feel like I can only succeed if I have someone doing it with me. And it's just not true. Most of the people, in fact, most of the people who are couples doing it started out not couples doing it. They were couples, but they weren't doing it together. And it's like most of the case, some of us guys are just a bit slow on the uptake, and it takes us a bit of a while to come to the table, but then we wise up eventually, and we do, and we're here. But keeping it really simple and having that crucial conversation at the beginning is, I think, something that if you could take away and try and put that in place and let the guys know what they're really facing, in you doing it, and then maybe later what they might face if they do it with you, is a critical first step. Thanks.